Well, good morning, my friend, and welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. It is Friday morning, the end of another week, and I hope that you've had a productive week for the Lord. And then we go into the weekend, and I would encourage everybody, let's use our weekends to serve the Lord. I know I think too many times we like to play instead of work for the Lord, and we need our churches to grow and to thrive. And now you be in church. Don't you be that Christian that's in and out. Oh my word. There's so many that just church is just an afterthought. Well, if I have to, pastor has to contact you all the time to be in church. Shame on you. Where's God in your life? That's the question you need to ask yourself. God's children, you're saved. You're on your way to heaven. You ought to be in church. This ought not to be something that the preacher has to beg you or anything like that. You ought to just be there because you love the Lord. And you show your love for the Lord by how frequent you are into his church. When the job and everything else takes precedence over the church, something's wrong with your Christian walk. And believer, you need to make sure you're in church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, 3 to thrive. And that's the secret to the Christian life. And so I'd encourage you, be in church on this Sunday morning. Sunday school, 9:45 at our church. And wherever you are, you be in your place at your church, Sunday school, and let the Lord do his work in your life. Well, today, I want to talk about the negative talker. Acts 19:9 says, "But when divers were hardened and believed not, but spake evil of that way before the multitude, he departed from them and separated the disciples, disputing daily in the school of one Tyrannus." Now, it did not matter what the Apostle Paul said or did. There was a crowd that spoke evil and negative about everything that he did and said. They spoke evil and negative about him because they despised him for exposing their erroneous lives and ways. Now, they spoke evil of Paul because he threatened their power. That's what it was. And the only way they could destroy what he said and did was to speak negative and evil about him. Now, we live in times when there's a plethora of negative talkers. The news and talk radio are inundated with negative talkers. The political world, you'll find negative talkers who always speak evil or negatively about the other side's ideas and plans. Now, it doesn't matter if the other side has a good idea or even did a good thing, because they are on the other side. These negative talkers choose to be negative about the other way side and what they say and do. This other side will never, ever point out, boy, look what this person is doing. Boy, this is great. No, instead, they just want to point out the one negative, and that's what they trumpet. Now, sadly, this negative talking has passed over into the church. In every church, there are people whose first response is negative about anything the pastor plans to do. Now, even though this negative crowd may like their pastor, they're prone to negativity. They're prone to negative speaking because they are not doing much themselves. So the only way they can make themselves the only way they can feel like they're a part is I got to speak negative about. I know more than the pastor. Now, they have no other way to justify not producing. So the only way they can do this is tear down the one who is actually doing something for Christ. The negative talkers are a cancer to the local church and to the cause of reaching the lost for Jesus Christ. Now, I want to give you a few cautions about being a negative talker. First, your negativity is not about ideas. It is about you justifying not being a part of the idea. That's what it's about. I've learned that most negativity ceases when we are not concerned about who gets the credit. Now, I want to remind you that we are on the same team. Everybody is. And to be consistently negative only harms your testimony and keeps those who are trying to do something from wanting to include you in planning or work being done. Second, negativity wears down those who are trying to build and do something for God. The weariness of constant negativity, oh, my friend, will one day destroy what you like about those who are doing something for God. You just keep on chinking at that armor. One day they may stop. Now, you likely enjoy being a part of a place that's productive for God. But if you're constantly negative with your responses or ideas, you will one day find nobody wanting to tell you anything that is going on. You know why? Because it don't matter what they say. You're always seeing what's wrong, what's bad. You rarely, if ever, talk about anything positive. It's always, well, this is bad, and this is bad, and this is bad, and this needs to change, and you've got to do this. Why don't you stop that? Good night, wearing people out. Negative talking is an anchor to the spirit of the one who's trying to do something for God. And if you don't want to wear out those who are trying to do something great for God, stop being negative. Third, negativity is a choice, just like being positive is. You choose whether you are negative or positive. Whether or not you intend to be negative, that's not the point. You must watch what you say so it does not come across as negative. What a lot of times people don't understand is they don't think they're being negative, but they have negative overtones in what they're saying. It's always it's a critical. Well, I'm not trying to be critical. Just trying. No, you are being critical. You are being negative. And what you have to understand, it wears people out. Be careful about always having an opposing idea and always pointing out what's wrong and always saying this is bad. Why don't you find something to say, you know what? I need to get involved and do this so that we can get closer to getting done what needs to be done. You'll find your ideas will be heated if you're rarely the one that points out all the negative. The fact is, listen, pastors are inundated with the negative of people. And then you wonder why they get frustrated. People wonder why Moses smote the rock. I absolutely understand it, because he had to deal with the murmuring and the complaining all the time. And finally, one day he lost it. Now, and when he lost it, it cost him being able to go into the promised land. Now, you've got to be careful about this negativity. There's always pointing out the negative that's going on. Now, there's negative going on. We know that. And there's times that the pastor needs to see something, so maybe he doesn't see it, and you just want to inform him. I didn't know if you know this going on. I think of a gentleman that was in my office on Wednesday night, good man. And he said, "Preacher, I don't know if you know this is happening." And he told me, and I did not know it was happening. I said, "I'll take care of it." And I did. Now, I want you to understand something. Now, this guy is normally a positive man, but the fact that he said, "I just want you to let you know this is what's going on." I said, "Okay, I'll take care of it." Now, that you understand, I appreciate that, but it's those who are constantly, everything, all that they say always is, this is wrong, and this is why, and this is what needs to be done. And listen to me, we know it. We know it. So why don't you pray? And why don't you get involved? Instead of telling everybody what's obvious, why don't you just get involved? Stop talking about the negative. Good night. We're killing our churches. Moses went into sin. And here Paul is talking. He didn't matter what he did, always negative. Let's not be that crowd. That's the negative crowd. Let's be a part of the positive crowd that builds up. I'll tell you this, more can be done by people being positive and proactive than they ever will by being negative and tearing down. Let's be a proactive people. Let's be a positive people. And we can help our church. We can help our pastor. We can do something greater for God if we get this type of a mindset. Well, I hope this is a help to you today. Now, let's remember this weekend, be good to everyone.